have I got TikToks for you.
Oh my gosh.
No, just wait. Just wait.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Oh no.
Well, see, now that like a new Star Wars show is out, there's like actually things on the internet. There's a surprising lack of content for Age of Extinction in the Last Night. Current content, I guess I should say.
It truly is the end of a hot bot summer. It's Thursday night, and we're in Rachel's apartment, which must mean it's Starformers night.
Much meme
for the meme minute.
Oh, wow.
We watched the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka last night. We're recording tonight because I had something come up. So apologies if you were wanting to listen to the episode on a typical Thursday. There's 2 weeks in a row we're recording on Thursday. Didn't we record on Thursday last week? No, it was on Wednesday last week. We recorded on a Thursday recently.
Was it 2 weeks ago?
It's not worth. Man, I sometimes will listen to podcasts and be like people on the podcast won't be able to listen, like remember about their own podcast. I'm like, how? That's weird. How I can remember? Why can't they remember?
Sometimes Megan will text us things, and I go, "When did we?" And I'm like, "When did we say that?"
That's what I'm getting at. Is like it is actually pretty difficult to remember things about your own podcast. Weirdly enough. Welcome to Rebels and Robots, episode 32. I'm Cameron.
I'm Rachel.
And this is our weekly chat where we talk about Star Wars and
Transformers.
I referenced earlier the end of Hot Bot Summer. We spent all summer.
You referenced that.
We spent all summer talking about Transformers as a result of the new live action film coming out that came out in June. And now we are back into Star Wars territory with the release of a new Disney Plus show called Ahsoka. And we will be talking about that here soon. But we always start the show off with news and recent thoughts. And Rachel's typically our one who's good at the news part. What do you got, Rachel?
It's been 1,997 days since our last Ezra sighting.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh, I got other news, but that's the most important part. So I don't know how much you have. I've got a decent amount.
I don't have any news.
All right. It's the Rachel Hour. So, the official Star Wars Instagram posted a very interesting collection of character portraits. And I just thought the combo was interesting. I just took a screenshot. So they said, see Chopper, Huyang, and Merrick in Ahsoka. And Merrick is the masked Inquisitor. And I just thought it was interesting. I was like, okay, he gets his own character poster. I don't know. I was like, what are you cooking, Filoni?
Yeah, there's one of two reasons why Lucasfilm might push a character. Because they're important to the story.
And they sell toys.
Exactly. And he looks pretty cool.
Will I be buying that figure?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a purely visual character. He doesn't talk at all so far. He could definitely turn out to be someone. But as of right now, my guess would be he's just someone that they want to sell toys of.
I was actually going to talk about that. There are some theories that people have on who he is.
Star Wars fans have theories about a thing that's not done yet.
I will get to that, though, because I don't remember which TikTok it is that I posted. So, anyways, this isn't like news, but so it's Tuesday, and a former coworker used to work in my department, works in a different department, same employer or company. System, I don't know. Empire? Whatever you want to call it. He messages me on our system and goes, still haven't watched Rebels and Ahsoka starts tonight, LOL. And I messaged him back, well, I can give you a crash course if you want. And so he was like, sure. So I sent him this. And it looks long because it's on my phone, but I sent this quick summarize. This is very important for those of you that haven't seen Rebels. I said, so basically, Ahsoka's going to be Rebels Season 5. The last time we see Ahsoka is at the end of Part 2 of The Twilight of the Apprentice. I guess technically we see her in the 4th season, but That's the last time we see her in the timeline. At the season finale of
okay. Yeah.
Twilight Princess. The very end where she's walking into a cave. She's rescued from being killed by Vader by Ezra due to time travel, world between world shenanigans, parentheses, which is not an opportunity to rewrite/reboot Star Wars, as the episode in season 4 explains why things can't be changed. She then goes on her Gandalf-esque Ahsoka, the white journey of self-seeking. Ezra disappears at the end of Rebels season 4 by sacrificing himself to save Lothal and by yeeting himself and Thrawn into hyperspace with no location planned out, so they've been missing. And I accidentally sent it early. And I said, oops, early send. And my coworker sends me early send in all caps and a picture of Mr. Krabs where he's looking confused and it's all warped around him. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
So, I just thought you would get such a kick out of that.
Why?
Because I've been thinking about this for 2 days.
I don't see the gist that you're. I don't see what you're getting at.
He thought this was long enough. So when I actually said "oops, early send" and I wasn't done yet.
I see. I've never heard the phrase "early send." Like,
well, yeah, like I accidentally sent the message early.
Like I guess like I did not realize what his response indicated. I did not pick up on that he's surprised that you weren't finished.
Yes.
That did not click with me.
He was surprised I wasn't finished. Well, anyways, I thought that was going to be way funnier, so we're going to move on. So anyways, thanks to my coworker for putting up with my shenanigans. So this, I found this a little bit ago. This isn't actually like recent, but this was at Fan Expo, and an entire group of people dressed as prisoners from Narkina 5 went to Andy Serkis's table. Mm-hmm. Have you seen this?
Yes.
Oh, man, you're just really pooping on my parade, aren't you?
You asked me a question, I answered honestly.
But did you see his reaction? He looks like a proud father. This is like when a Jango Fett shows up to an expo and all the clothes just
treat him as their dad.
Like, oh, screaming. Look at him.
He's cute.
Look at him.
We love Andy Serkis. That man has aged so well.
Ugh, like a fine wine.
I'm trying to find... I read a piece of trivia about Transformers 4, and I don't remember where I read it. I guess I can try to read it, like remember it. Mm-hmm. It was something along the lines of... And I'm sorry to take us back to Transformers. I know Hot Pot Summer is over, but
stop it! You've said it 3 times.
as a epilogue, apparently Peter Cullen did not like working with Kelsey Grammer and another actor, the other villain from Transformers 4, the like government agent guy. I don't remember the character's name.
I lost a sister in Chicago guy.
And this, I have a tough time believing this because I just don't know at what stage of the film he'd be working with them, because he's a voice actor and they're all live action.
I believe Peter Cullen.
Like,
I stand with Peter Cullen.
I'm not saying he's lying. I think maybe this piece of information was wrong, but nonetheless, it is interesting because both have very like terrible deaths in the movie. One gets hit by a football.
Peter's word is law.
One gets hit by a football, and there's 3. If this is indeed true, what?
A football? Oh yes.
Yeah,
because he falls
Mark
out of
Wahlberg
a window.
Throws the football at the guy.
So technically, it's fall damage with an assist from the football.
Yeah, the football is what knocks him through the window.
Yes, but it's the ground that kills him.
But that is what the football is directly leads to his death. That's why the football gets the assist. If a person pushed someone off of a building and they fell and died, that person would be charged with murder.
Oh.
The person who did the pushing. So if you use a football to knock someone off of a building and it kills them, the football is the cause of death.
Death by pigskin.
Well, the result in the murder weapon, pretty much. Nonetheless, and then Kelsey Grammer's character just gets unceremoniously shot in the middle of an action scene. But that also, then you also have Mark Wahlberg's employee. Do you remember the character name? Man, it's all gone on my brain, this movie.
The blonde guy?
The one who dies early on.
Yeah, unfortunately, that guy. The
TJ Miller. He's also killed off in a horrible way. So it seems there's a weird, like, vibe to Transformers 4 where they just kill. I mean, I don't know if Peter
You could have
Cullen
ended the sentence there and it would have been right.
we know T.J. Miller's death is a direct result of Michael Bay's opinion of him as an actor, but I wonder if Peter Cullen's opinion of the other two actors also resulted in their character deaths in some way.
Maybe Peter was like, if you want me to come back, I'm not working with them again.
Okay, so I want to see if I can find this confirmed somewhere. So Peter Cullen didn't like working with...
Peter Cullen hates Kelsey Grammer.
I am just interested into in what capacity did they interact?
In the break room, probably.
Because I just am surprised. There's not really anything immediately coming up when I Google search that. Peter Cullen didn't like working with Kelsey Grammer in Transformers 4. Yeah, it's not popping up, so that might have been an errant piece of information. I just don't remember where I read it, though, unfortunately. I thought it was on the TF Wiki, but I'm not finding on the TF Wiki. There's also, I'm now realizing, a separate Transformers movie wiki. It's not on there.
TF Wiki is the supreme knowledge.
Yes, but I just don't remember what page. How do you spell? Oh, Grammar, not Graham. I don't know. I apologize. I meant to save the link and I forgot to. What else news you got?
So these are some fun little TikToks. So I can find it. So this is Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau meet the toys for Ahsoka, and it's just very cute.
Okay.
It's just, I don't know. It's just something that brought me a lot of joy.
Seeing them for the first time. I love it. I mean, you do look forward to it. I'd be lying if I said we didn't. Look at that. Did you know that? Did that?
It's just this video of them.
And it's the one you give your little brother to play with.
Yeah, and then you keep this one?
See, you can keep that. When I'm up north, it'll be like I never
No, I
left.
can't wait. This is you giving me notes on the script. Let's hear it. Okay, Dave. Yeah, all right.
It's pretty cool. This is great. I love it.
Whoa. There we go.
Her voice is...
It's just very cute to see this thing that Filoni has worked on for years come to fruition.
It is very cute. They're fun. They're a fun duo. Favreau and Filoni.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Filoni, not Favreau. Filoni shenanigans apparently on the set of Clone Wars
Don't drop your phone.
with an interview with Ahsoka's voice actor Ashley, and then the one who voiced Obi-Wan. That's terrible. I can't remember his name.
Neither do I. I don't know his name.
I could think of it if someone told me, but so it's just very cute. And this is what they're talking. Apparently, Filoni used to joke a lot about how he's going to kill off Ahsoka.
Oh.
And so...
How Ahsoka would die.
Oh, sorry.
You would always tell me theories of how Ahsoka would die. And I remember, seriously, I kid you not, it's like after the first season.
Pretty funny.
And it's after the first season, and he's like, hey, come here. So let me tell you, I came up with the storyline of how Ahsoka dies. And he tells me, and I'm like...
At the time it was Darth Vader, because that one was really cool.
Well, not...
I mean, you gotta admit, that would have been gripping television.
Do you remember, actually, that one time...
No, I don't know this one.
It was...
Probably not worth sharing.
It was... Well, I can share it because it didn't happen, but it was...
Is that true?
It was Ventress. At one
Ventress,
point,
that's a good one,
you
too.
had Ventress.
Oh, I do remember that. Yes.
You had
Very
Ventress
good,
killing
very good
Ahsoka.
that one, yes.
And I had to deal with this, the emotional turmoil of hearing...
But it really got you someplace in the scene. You know, it really got you there.
Well, you did. But at some point, the tide turned, and no one asked me how Ahsoka was going to die. They all said, Ahsoka lives, right? Ahsoka lives, right?
Yeah, people started to get worried.
They did. They started
That
to
was
get worried.
interesting.
And then at some point, you stopped sharing theories of how Ahsoka died, and I was like, yes, Dave is going to make her live.
And then he started talking about Satine.
Wow.
Well...
You want to explain this? Like that last little bit for our listeners who haven't seen Clone Wars.
So if you haven't watched the animated series, because Mandalorian Season 3 just didn't talk about her at all, Satine is Bo-Katan's sister and Obi-Wan's love interest, who, spoilers for Season 4 or 5, dies at the hands of Maul. And so that's the backstory. But I thought that was amusing.
It is funny to have Obi-Wan's voice just cut in at the end of that story. What else you got?
More Filoni content. There's a lot of Filoni
gosh.
content. Yeah. So he was talking about how the ending of Clone Wars, and so this is what he's going to reference is the arc in season 6. This is the last arc of season 6. That was the ending of Clone Wars for years when Ahsoka leaves the Order. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting kind of hearing him talk about the creative. And I think if you've seen this, you probably would maybe get a kick out of this.
Every episode of the Clone Wars ends the same way. With that ring up.
I've seen this. This is great.
How many times have you been sitting at home watching the show and you get kind of, hopefully, if I've done my job, worked into a nice emotional state, and then you're just smacked right out of it by that ring up. For years, I've been trying to get rid of it. Not on every episode. That's fine. But just on certain episodes, I thought, this arc was the arc where it had to happen. And I knew it as soon as I read the scripts, and as soon as George sat down and we came up with the idea, I sat there and I thought to myself secretly, this episode's going to fade out to black.
I mean, it's very poignant because he's right. Every episode, no matter what the ending is, I think even the death or the episode where Satine died had it too. It's just, you get punched in the face by the Clone Wars theme, except for this one episode. So, very cute.
Yeah, I saw that video, and then I've been watching Rebels, and it cracked me up. There's an episode of Rebels that ends with the Clone Wars theme.
I know which one you're talking about.
And it cracked me up when it popped up, and then I was...
It's third season, right?
I just started thinking about all the potential, sad Clone Wars episodes that then... it's
the one
winding down, and then
the one where Fives dies.
But also, that is I had this thought years ago. The main Skywalker Saga 9 films are the same way.
They are.
All 9 films end with the exact same upbeat credits. Like, you have the first movie it's been happening since Empire, because you have the first film in on a very high note, and it goes into the music, one of my favorite tracks in all of Star Wars.
Oh man, I remember that track.
Yeah, my wedding. Yep.
Yeah,
it's a track that I walked into my wedding reception to
by himself.
She's gone.
That's why he walked down the aisle. No, I'm kidding.
Then the next film, John Williams was probably like, "Okay, George, that we have this dour, downbeat cliffhanger ending. What kind of music do we want to use? Oh, just use the same one. We'll just use the same track. It's fine. Don't worry about it, John. Take the weekend off, John."
Because we know George Lucas loves consistency.
It's just so wild. And then you've got George finally in 2003 sits down to write episode 3, and he's like, "Oh, I've got to write this ending so it can go into that in credits music." Because he gets away with it from after Empire. He gets away with it with 6. 6 has a celebratory ending. 1 has a celebratory. Phantom Menace has a celebratory ending. Attack of the Clones has a somewhat downer ending, but you have the wedding at the very end, which then, even though it's a doomed marriage, it's still a nice, pretty scene. And you also have R2-D2 and C-3PO waiting to get married off the side as well. And so there's you can cut into the happy music there.
Hold on. We want to circle back to that.
No, this is common knowledge. Everyone knows this. But then you get to Revenge of the Sith. It was like, well, this is the low point of the Star Wars universe. And and it works pretty well. But this is way off topic.
Good thing George Lucas wrote 4, 5, and 6 first, so he could go, I'll just build up into the binary sunset.
Exactly. What other news you got?
That's it. The rest
is it.
Pretty much the rest of my TikToks are shmemes or things about Ahsoka that I guess we'll talk about at the end.
We absolutely will. Not at the end. How about right now? We are.
Well, yeah.
So, premiered on Tuesday night, the first 2 episodes of an 8-episode season for Ahsoka.
Woo!
And we watched it all last night. It was about a total of 70 minutes or so. It was 50 minutes and 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And I don't know. It was 1 hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a half. And 40 minutes. So yeah, an hour and a hal any context for this? The first episode's directed by Dave Filoni.
So it's about Ahsoka. Takes continuing where Rebels left off, essentially.
Ahsoka is played by Rosario Dawson, who's already played the character in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. And she's previously been in stuff such as, just looking at her IMDb here, the live-action version of Rent for some reason. Sin City, she's the voice of Barbara Gordon / Batwoman in the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, yeah.
She is in... What else? Clerks 2. She's in a great movie called... decent movie called Trance that she's pretty good in. I'm trying to think of what else people might know her from. She's in all of the Netflix Marvel shows, Daredevil, Luke Cage, all that, as the night nurse. She was awesome in that.
I wouldn't have known that. I've never seen them.
I feel like she's in a lot of different geek media. I feel like there's one more. That may have been it. Lego Batman, Netflix, Marvel stuff. Now she's Ahsoka. She was Persephone in Percy Jackson, The Lightning Thief.
I think that's probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Mostly because I've read the books. I've never seen a movie spit in the face.
That's pretty bad.
Of its source material before. And maybe my memory is tarnished of it because someone brought their 4-year-old who screamed the entire time and had a meltdown when Hades jumped out of the fire.
Uh-oh.
But it was bad.
And to transition here, she was also in Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof, which also contains another actress from the same series, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who is now the live action Hera, a character popularized by and created for Rebels. Mm-hmm. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, most famous for being, I think, Ramona Flowers in Scott Pilgrim. She's also the lead of 10 Cloverfield Lane, where she's phenomenal. She was the Huntress in the Birds of Prey movie. She was in the last 2 Die Hard movies. She is she turns out to be, she's like the popular girl, turns out to be the villain in the movie Sky High. She's been in a lot of, she's in Swiss Army Man. I forgot about that. She's been around for a while. She's a fun actress. She was the lead in the Thing prequel. And yeah, she's great. And we'll talk about these performances as we get into our plot summary. The other actors in this, you've got an actress I've never heard of, Natasha Liu Bardizzo is Sabine, another character from Rebels. Natasha has also been in a bunch of stuff I have never heard of. She's in Greatest Showman as Ding Yang. I don't know that. I think I've seen The
Greatest Showman once.
Yeah. Other actors, we've got Ray Stevenson as Balin Skull, as of right now, pretty much our lead villain.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, he passed away a few months ago. He was also in the Thor movies as he's one of the Warriors 3. He's like the big guy in Thor's entourage. He's previously been in Star Wars as the voice of Gar Saxon in Clone Wars and Rebels. And he was in as well.
Dave said we killed all your characters, so here's a new one.
Speaking of other young adult movie adaptations, he's also in the Divergent movie series.
Anyways, moving on from that.
Moving on. We've also any other notable actors in this? We've got
David Tennant.
David Tennant returning as the voice of Hu Yang, the 25,000-year-old Jedi robot.
Is he 25,000 or just 10,000?
I thought he was 25,000. I might be getting it mixed up with how the date of the upcoming movie. Let's look up. Hu Yang, how old are you? Star Wars. Date created 25,000 BBY.
Oh, okay. I was wrong.
So he's been around since the formation of the Jedi Order.
First time I've been wrong on this podcast.
First time. Wow. Mark it down. Athena, write down that time code. You've got Clancy Brown returning as the
Isn't that Mr. Krabs?
He is Mr. Krabs. He's also in other Star Wars projects as well. He was the like devil-looking guy in The Mandalorian, and he's playing the same character he played in Rebels. So this is, as far as I know, is this the only actor that we know of as of right now in Ahsoka who's the voice actor who's playing the live-action version of them?
I think so.
So that was a nice surprise to see him in this. He was the former governor of Lothal, which is the core planet that's at the core of the Rebels series, and then he's reinstated as governor at the end of the series. And not a great character, but Clancy Brown's a phenomenal voice actor. Like, I know people know him as Mr. Krabs, which honestly, if you actually pay attention, the Mr. Krabs performance is phenomenal. But he's been in great films as well. I think most notably he's the warden in. I don't know about the warden. He's like the lead officer in Shawshank Redemption.
I've never seen Shawshank Redemption.
Well, that's outside the scope of this podcast, so we're not going to talk about it. So I'm gonna look up. So we have another character named Shin Hati.
Godzilla.
Yeah, she is Baylan Skoll's apprentice, so she's like the secondary villain. And I'm just seeing if I've ever seen her or anything. The actress's name is Ivana Sakno, and I don't recognize anything that she's been in. Okay, she's in Pacific Rim Uprising, actually.
Your favorite?
I like the first one a lot. The second one is okay. But she's doing so good. Like, I think we'll get into the quality performances. So I just wanted to lay the groundwork for some of these actors, if our viewers at all, listeners, also care.
Actress of Morgan Lisbeth, who was in Mando Season 2.
Yes.
Is returning. She's the character that is in Ahsoka's episode with the Beskar spear.
Yeah, it looks like she might primarily be like a stunt performer.
Oh.
She's done quite a few stunts.
I mean, she did a lot of stunts in that episode. That might be why they hired her.
Yeah, interesting. She's been in some movies and TV show, but primarily has been a stunt performer for lots of stuff. So cool. That was a good note. So, first episode starts off with our villains pulling pretty much a
heist.
Darth Vader-esque move of Darth Vader in Rogue One on the Rebel ship at the end. So we've got Baylan Skoll and Shin, two former Jedi, become mercenaries. They each have an orange lightsaber and dark clothes.
Were Inquisitors.
Are they? They haven't really said in the show yet.
I mean, my guess would be Jedi Inquisitor mercenaries.
Yeah, especially given that they're
still pretty inquisitor-y.
The third person in the now they themselves don't have Inquisitor blades, but they're the third guy in their entourage. Merrick does have his whole look is very Inquisitor. He's got the spinning blades, so he was almost certainly an Inquisitor. Whether they were or not is yet to be revealed, at least in the show itself. But they at least are definitely Force users. Neither aligned at this time with the dark side or the light side. They're just mercenaries. And we do know that Baylan was trained as a Jedi, given the information from the show. And they each have white hair. So does that maybe suggest that they're potentially related? They don't have the same last name, or maybe they're from the same planet.
Maybe they just go to the same hairstylist.
Yeah. So they break out Morgan. What was her full name?
It provides some contrast to their all black outfit.
Yeah. So Morgan Elsbeth is a character who appeared in Mandalorian Season 2. It's where we got the Beskar.
I just said that.
Yeah, I'm recapping, just in case someone missed that. We got the Beskar blade from, and it was our first hint towards someone knowing that the villain, who I'm totally Thrawn, had survived. And so it turns out she's been being held by Republic prison this whole time. They break her out.
We all know how that works out when you're being transported on a new Republic ship.
And we then cut to Ahsoka breaking into a...
You had a really good quote in that hallway scene.
What did I don't remember what I said.
There's a silhouette of Baylan Skoll, and you go, that is a square man.
Yeah, he's a very broad-shouldered man.
With the cape, too. He just looked like a box.
Yeah, he's a linebacker for sure. And they're very stoic. They're very withdrawn. But I do think they have kind of a funny introduction. They land on the ship claiming to be Jedi, and the Republic officer is like, I don't buy that you're a Jedi. It's like, well, allow me to prove myself. And he just slashes through the guy with his lightsaber. That's one way to prove that you're some sort of Force user. We then cut to Ahsoka breaking into some sort of like a sarcophagus or what would you temple? Yeah,
a Dathomirian temple.
Yeah, which we later learn. Yeah, Dathomir.
Okay.
Dathomir is where Darth Maul is from. A very also dark side people.
Ventress is from.
Is she really? I don't think I knew that.
Oh, okay. All right. So we saw the Night Sisters in Clone Wars. They're the Dathomirian witches. Ventress, who is Vader's apprentice, is a Dathomirian.
You mean Dooku? You said Vader.
Did I say Vader?
Yeah.
My bad. Dooku's apprentice. So Dathomir has a very matriarchal society. Like males like Maul and his brother Savage are basically second-class citizens. We also see Marin from Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor is a Dathomirian witch too. And after, I think it was the Battle of Geonosis. Yeah, it was between movies 2 and 3. After Ventress tried to assassinate Dooku after he betrayed her, he sent General Grievous and a whole battalion and just wiped out that Dathomirian clan, aside from Marin.
And this is all especially relevant because in this episode we learn that Morgan is also a Dathomirian witch. And she kind of rounds off our group of villains. So Ahsoka's in this temple and solves a series of puzzles, which you described as being very Jedi Survivor.
Aggressively Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor.
And she then gets a globe, which you also described as being very similar to the globe from Treasure Planet.
And was I wrong?
No, not at all.
I was so
not
right.
Even so right. Someone online I saw in a review described it as it's pretty much just the first scene from Guardians of the Galaxy, just not fun or funny. She then leaves the temple, fights 3 HK assassin droids, which is kind of a fun. It's fun that HK droids have just kind of become common in this new Star Wars lore, because an HK droid was a very popular character in the original Star Wars Knights of the Republic video game. And I think robots are always a good way to have your heroes fight something and be able to just relentlessly tear it apart, because if you do that to a living creature, you get an R rating, but you do it to a robot, you do whatever.
They're not people.
And so Ahsoka then goes and meets up with Hera. We see live action Hera for the first time and reveals that this map, this globe has a map in it that might lead to Thrawn and potentially Ezra if he's still alive.
Our boy.
We'll see. I'm still not entirely sure that he's alive or not.
Don't you dare speak that into existence.
And this is where we get to my first analytical comment. So we have this extended sequence of Hera and Ahsoka talking. So there's 2 characters introduced in the cartoons. Ahsoka originally introduced in Clone Wars, Hera from Throne. Wow.
Huh?
I don't know where I was going with that. Rebels. And I don't love it. I think if these 2 actresses were playing original characters, it could work. But there's 2 issues here. I'll let you talk. I definitely want to hear what you have to say.
I don't know what it was. I thought I liked. And maybe it was just in these first 2 episodes, because I thought the first 2 episodes were okay.
Yeah.
But first of all, I do not love Mary as Hera.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of times I was just kind of okay. So if we look at the history of Ahsoka and Hera, they've known each other for a long time, because Ahsoka was the first Fulcrum. one of the first like tensions we see in the first couple episodes of Rebels is Sabine is upset at Hera because Hera will not tell her who Fulcrum is. That's one of some of the first tension we have. And so I don't know, for two characters that have known each other for a long time, gosh, they felt like uncomfortable coworkers. And I'm not
That's
saying
not a bad description.
And I'm not saying they have to be besties, but gosh, not like it was just a very dull interaction. And I do not love Mary's portrayal of Hera because, okay, yes, Hera's a general. She has to play things a little bit by the book. Hera's pretty spicy.
Yeah.
She's pretty, like, her way or the highway. And I don't know. It's like she was too docile. And I really hope that this casting of Mary isn't just Star Wars nepotism.
Yeah.
Because I worry about that.
And that is a reference to the fact that she's married to Ian McGregor in reality.
Yeah. So it just felt dull. I don't know. It's like there needed to be more animation. And by animation, I mean they need to be more animated. Like they needed to just have a little bit, I don't know. It's like...
Yeah, that gets exactly to what I was going to say.
Anyone can stand around a table and say lines.
Yeah. There's two issues with, like, inherently with adapting these characters, no matter who the actors were, no matter who the writers are. There's two issues. One, the voice actors are giving, for these two characters especially, are giving such vocal, characterized, personality-filled performances. They're just really specific and really dynamic and really fun to listen to. On top of that, these characters are cartoon characters. They are very expressive. They are literally and figuratively animated. So now you translate this into live action, on a acting level, as far as the facial expressions. You have two human characters with lots of prosthetic on their face. So the ability to act with their face is now limited. And then you have these just, I can't imagine live action performers are just so used to acting with everything. Yeah. I mean, you definitely have live action performers who really use their voice, but I just like, I don't want to blame it on the actors because these are both wonderful actresses who have,
these are the first two episodes. Like,
but the issue is, now I'm totally blanking on her name. Rosario Dawson has played Ahsoka for a couple episodes now.
I've liked her in the other ones.
Yeah, you especially have a really nice interaction between her and Luke in Book of Boba Fett. Yeah. So like we've seen her be a little more expressive. I know this was probably shot like a year ago. So it's 2022, or maybe even earlier than that, potentially. COVID stuff is still lingering. You still have weird, I think potentially some of the weird standing around a room just talking is an element of that. I kind of saw it in Barbie as well, a movie that I think is really excellent. There was a lot of standing around and talking, now, specifically for Barbie, it might be on purpose because it's like, okay, well, how do you play with Barbies? You sit and you hold them and you make them talk. It could have been on purpose. Could have been a creative choice.
Clan Wars.
But I feel like, what?
I feel like it is a very core memory for young girls that they would make two Barbie families and just pit them against each other.
And nonetheless, my point is, I feel like in this, potentially, I've not been on a film set ever, especially not post-COVID. I don't know how movies exactly are made now, but it's possible that as a result of COVID restrictions, blocking is a more difficult thing. You might have reduced rehearsals. I think we're seeing a lot, and then you throw in the additional thing of the whole volume thing, where the volume being this large instead of a green screen, a big LCD.
Did they use the volume on this?
I would think probably those sequences at the top of the tower.
True. That didn't feel like volume though.
I mean, just like volume or green screen set, no matter what it is.
No. I just mean like there are definitely times where you can go Yeah, that's the volume. I just meant like
pretty much anything they shoot on Tatooine. That's supposed to be Tatooine. There's just everything is taking place in these
Tatooine.
Not on this show, but like in Star Wars in general. Anytime new Star Wars shoots something on Tatooine, it's the volume. My point is these very closed off environments where the characters don't have a lot of space to run. The camera work isn't very interesting. There's all a long-winded thing to say there might be factors restricting them, and I'm not saying that's an excuse, but it's kind of an explanation for why these things, as opposed to Star Wars Rebels, which was always very dynamic. There's things moving, things going on. They're shifting environments. They're going to different places.
Everyone's going at 100 at all times.
Yeah. I mean, and you almost have the exact opposite. You have the infamous shot of Callus from episode 1 of Rebels where he like is moving at like 200 miles an hour.
So funny. One of my favorite Reddit posts is someone doing the math on that. Ooh.
So
speed of light, Callus isn't real. He can't hurt you.
And I would almost say I don't think the issue changes much when we get to Sabine.
I thought that too.
So like doesn't have any prosthetic on, but yet her performance feels just slightly more energetic.
But there are
not
definitely
enough
times where I was like, this is the take you guys went with?
I think the desire is to make it feel like everyone's kind of run down by the war.
True, which makes sense.
Yeah. Like all of Rebels is kind of pre-war. Like Rebels is about them getting into the war.
Being rebels.
Exactly. And then they all everyone who survives spends multiple years just sitting on Lothal waiting for the Empire to show
Spoilers for your wife.
She doesn't listen to this. That's okay. And it makes sense why these characters may end up this way, but it's not very engaging. They're like everyone being sad and depressed could actually be very engaging. Like okay, so I'll flip it around. I think the show does work. It's not incredible, but it is still somewhat engaging when we cut to Baylan and Shin. They're having
fun.
They're in black clothes. They're kind of just like them standing around being stoic works for me. The tone there, I think, is solid.
I will think it was really, I don't know if it was an homage. So obviously there's a the hallway scene at the beginning. The jarring piano was just I didn't love it, but it's chaotic. From a musical standpoint, nothing from the soundtrack stood out to me yet. But like from a chaotic standpoint, it was kind of funny.
Well, I have a note about the music as well here in a second, so we'll continue on with the plot summary. Back on Lothal, there's they're like commemorating a chunk of sacrifice. Wall. It's a mural that Sabine. So if you don't know, Sabine is a Mandalorian, but she's also an artist. She's she likes to spray paint. She likes to tag walls.
Satine the Mandalorian.
Exactly. And she's supposed to dedicate and give a speech at the mural, and she's not there.
And this mural is important because it's what we see at the end of the Rebels season finale.
It's a mural of the Ghost Crew, the core team from Rebels.
She did Zeb dirty in that.
He looks very silly.
He looks goofy.
And so we cut to her on a speeder bike running through the long interstate that leads out of the main city there in Lothal that goes to effectively nowhere.
And we see two familiar characters at General Azadi, who is played by we just talked about him, Mr. Krabs.
Oh yeah, he's a general or a governor?
He was governor at this point.
Yeah.
And we see him from the animated film, same voice actor, and then we see Jay Krell, who is Jay Kell, who is another character we see from Rebels, who honestly I never expected them to bring him back because he was kind of just a very much side character.
Yeah.
He is another young teen boy that Ezra meets when Ezra is sneaking in as like an Imperial cadet, and he meets this other cadet and ends up like going, hey man, the Empire is real bad news. And kind of prevents him from going to die a stormtrooper's death. And so bringing him back was really cool I'm fairly certain it was probably the same voice actor. If I remember correctly, I think his voice actor is Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, it is. The actor playing him here is not the voice actor.
Not?
I'm looking at it on IMDb.
Voice actor is that, which is a fun connection because Dave Filoni worked on that show.
Yeah. So two Republic Rangers try to track down Sabine while she's on her bike, and we cut to her, and she's listening to Star Wars pop.
Star Wars
punk, J-pop,
K-pop, Star Wars.
Yeah, it's got kind of a J-pop sound to it, or K-pop.
K-rock.
I'm trying to
checks out.
I feel like we may have heard it in Rebels, something similar. I think we may have heard them diegetically listening to similar music in Rebels at some point.
Probably.
While
it's no club music from Andor.
Yeah.
I love the club music from that show.
I'm mixed between whether this is a clever choice or kind of a cringy choice. If it's meant to be cool, if it's meant to be oh yeah, she's a rebel, doesn't work. If it's meant to be, oh, she's a teenager who's kind of rebellious and this is indicative of these characters in real life, that works.
Could also tie into the fact that they pretty much gave her an Akira slide.
Oh, I didn't even think about it in that term, but
that was my first thought, because I was kind of a little impressed with how intense these Rangers were trying to hunt down, because they call her Command.
I don't remember her rank. If you can hear that, that is our editor has decided to post up next to us and is purring very loudly.
So anyways, she outranks them, and they're like, you have to come back. It was almost kind of, it was the weird, it's like how when they introduced the New Republic in Mando 3, and it's like, I'm getting weird vibes from this every now and then. And so they block the highway with one of the ships, and basically they play a game of chicken, and she slides her
speeder bike,
and it's pretty much an Akira slide.
Yeah. So then she goes to her home.
Sorry for those of you that don't know. It was a motorcycle slide popularized in the Akira anime and has been homaged.
Except for the Akira slide is you slide and you put your foot down and you stop.
It was almost an Akira slide.
She just straight up slides under and keeps going. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
The angling felt very.
So this interstate to nowhere leads to exactly one destination. Actually, a big tower at the end where Ezra formerly lived, and Ezra and
post parents.
Sabine now lives apparently, and we get the single most notable piece of character development. She's a lonely cat girl.
Shut up.
And I have 3 great quotes from Rachel as multiple times. So I say lonely cat girl. So pretty much every animal on Lothal is just Loth something. And you have Loth-cats, which were seen in The Mandalorian season 1. And in that, they were totally CGI, and they were a lot more visually faithful to how they looked in Rebels.
They got teeth.
Here they've now done seemingly a practical, part CGI, part practical version that looks a lot more like a real animal as opposed to a direct adaptation from the cartoon. And it's a lot more appealing to look at for sure. And it purrs like a cat and moves like and they're also smaller than they were in Mandalorian.
Some of those little cats were chunky boys.
Yeah.
Chunk.
And so we even see Sabine straight up feed her Loth-cat just like a human would a cat. And so the first thing you said here was most relatable Star Wars content. And then at some point later when they come back, you said, if anything happens to that cat.
So sad.
And then after that you said top tier cat content.
True. It was top tier cat. It was top tier cat content. Right now happening. Oh, nope, never mind. You didn't look fast enough. Anyways, yes, top tier cat content. I would live on Lothal post Empire solely because 50% of the local fauna is cats, and that would be amazing. I would feed so many strays. I'd have an army because they are bribable. We know that for Rebels, they are bribable.
We then get to. Ahsoka then comes home.
Yeah, back to Ahsoka.
Yeah. Oh, the main character of this show shows up, and she meets with Sabine, and we figure out that Ahsoka taught Sabine for some time between the end of Rebels and now, and so I presume this was 100% definite confirmation that Sabine was Force sensitive, but maybe not.
So no, continue. I'm so sorry.
Like someone online suggests like Ahsoka may have just, because we do not see Sabine use any Force powers in these 2 episodes. So it is possible that Ahsoka was simply training Sabine in like fighting technique. Additionally, some additional information on this would be that later Huyang says that she shows less like force, like some sort of shows less something than any other Padawan he's ever met.
So
Spike in the audio.
Anyways, I was very interested in this because there's a lot of tension between these two, which I think Star Wars karma is getting a Padawan that was exactly like you. Like you yourself were. And so, unless you're Qui-Gon. I think Qui-Gon was perfect in every way.
Well, they gave Obi-Wan to Qui-Gon because Obi-Wan was rebellious.
Because no one else wanted him.
Yeah. Like, Qui-Gon turned Obi-Wan into the opposite of himself.
Yeah. So anyways, in Rebels Season 3, it's Season 3. So after Sabine has reclaimed the Darksaber from Maul, she's trying to learn how to use it. And as we infamously know, that Darksaber is funky to wield.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. And so we get, I think, at least 1 or 2 episodes of Kanan, who has not been named yet, but whatever. Kanan.
Who is a Jedi.
Who's a Jedi, yes. We see him in Bad Batch. He is Deva Balaba's Padawan, survives because Hunter lets him go in Bad Batch. And so we see him in Rebels. You know, he's teamed up with Hera. They have a book together. I haven't read it, but I've heard it's good. Anyways, Kanan has decided to train Sabine with the Darksaber like he would normally like a Padawan. It is not working because the way he trained Ezra is just not the way he's going to train Sabine because they're so different. And so there's this episode where Kanan has to change his teaching ways to help Sabine. And so he has a conversation with Hera, I think through like Comlink or something. And she's like, is it because she doesn't have the Force? And Kanan specifically says, it's not that. The Force lives in all things. You just have to be open to it. Anyways, so interesting. It's like poetry. Anyways,
it's too bad that whenever Ahsoka decided to train Sabine, that Kanan was not still alive to give Ahsoka this information.
Yeah. So, so anyways, just because it's kind of interesting and we see this in the sequel trilogy too. The Force is in all things. So, you know, kind of this idea of maybe she's a little Force sensitive. Maybe it'll take her a little bit longer. I don't know. But anyways, she trained somehow.
Yeah. In some fashion, where we don't 100% know to what degree and what form, Ahsoka trained Sabine in the years between. And then something happened and that caused Ahsoka to leave and their relationship fell apart.
And Sabine has Ezra's lightsaber.
Yes, and she's modified.
Which I called! Anyways.
Yeah. So then we move on. So there was security footage of the 2 Jedi mercs attacking the Republic ship, and Huyang's able to...
Inquisimercs.
Very nice. And Huyang is able to scan the footage of their lightsabers and then check it with his database of lightsabers from when he worked for thousands of years with Jedi.
He's taught Jedi younglings how to build their lightsabers for
years. Yeah. And he is able to recognize Baylan Skoll's lightsaber, and he says, Baylan Skoll is a Jedi that disappeared at the end of the Clone Wars. Yeah, that happened a lot. There's a lot of them.
Phenomenal. 10 out of 10.
Thanks, Huyang. Appreciate that little bit of analysis.
Amazing.
And we then, in that same sort of sequence, Sabine steals the globe from Ahsoka. Also, we forgot to mention a small detail, but I think somewhat important in retrospect. Ahsoka did not have any desire or intention to go to Sabine for help. It was Hera who just convinced her to do so.
I think that was another thing. I thought when I was actually surprised they even mentioned it at all, because sometimes you never know with these shows if they're actually going to mention characters or not. When Ahsoka says this can help us find Thrawn, and I did like that they did have Hera go, and Ezra.
Yeah.
Or I was like, oh, we're actually getting the name drop. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Because as opposed to no one's mentioning Satine anymore, a character that was really important.
No, but we got Bo-Katan's dad for some reason.
Yeah, like Satine is important to Bo-Katan and Obi-Wan, and we've seen these characters a lot. Obi-Wan had his own show. Satine, pretty much it's her show on The Mandalorian now. Bo-Katan, I don't know what I said. I'm going to restart just for clarity.
Bo-Mando.
Mandalorian Season 3 is pretty much Bo-Katan's show. Never mentions Satine whatsoever.
Which is...
maybe for a second.
Kind of important.
Yeah. So, Sabine is able to crack, rotating the globe and getting it to activate a map that then reveals that there's a pathway to another galaxy.
And so Ahsoka had asked Sabine not to take the key because it's very important, because obviously that is what the bad guys are looking for as well. And so Sabine does not do that. TM. And so the separate galaxy opens up a lot of very interesting theories from both legend, from a lot of Legends content, from, I was going to go for it, the Yuuzhan Vong, who are a species from another galaxy who wreak havoc on the galaxy, and then also a possibility of the Grisk, which is another warmonger. Well, I don't know a whole lot about Legends. I know enough. Another very similar antagonistic empire.
And so pretty much as soon as she figures this out, she goes outside and stares wistfully into the distance, and more of the 8K assassin droids show up, as well as the Merc Jedi girl, Shin, and Ahsoka fights her with a lightsaber.
Sabine
fights her with a lightsaber, gets stabbed.
Very off-center, though. Not the Qui-Gon stab.
Yeah,
very off-center. That was just a right lung stab, probably.
And Shin escapes with the
key?
The globe, and that's the end of episode 1.
I, for real, am good. I think it is... I thought it was... I don't know how to word it. I would 1,000% make fun of Ahsoka for not looking at that sphere and going, I wonder what happens if I match the markings up. Because that's how Sabine unlocks it.
Yep, pretty much.
After 8 hours of pondering this thing, that is personally, now I don't live in the Star Wars universe, but my first thought would be Rubik's Cube and try to Rubik's Cube my way through it, because she turned it 3 times and unlocked it. I was kind of like, you're going to tell me you looked at this thing for 8 hours and you didn't think to give it a little twist. Anyways, I would make fun of someone for the rest of their life for that, because I'd be like, wow, no one decided to give it a little twist, just a little crank.
So episode 2, Sabine is fine. My jaw actually dropped when she got stabbed. I thought, are they gonna kill Sabine? Are they going to actually put her down for a lot of the episode? Is this gonna be Ahsoka's motivation for the rest of the show? Is she gonna be severely injured? It's really nothing.
It was. I mean, I feel like what would have probably done the same effect is if they just pistol whipped her with a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I don't
and
bam.
There is kind of an interesting element going on here of the first episode is called Master and Apprentice, and you have it reflected on each side. You have a master and apprentice of the villains, but they are united, and there is a very clear, respectful master and apprentice relationship. Whereas on the other side, you have a master and apprentice, but they are ruptured from one another. They are they're barely master and apprentice at all. And I think Shin almost killing Sabine is very much a setup for a rematch later in the show. So I can see the narrative elements going on there, but
is this past the Bechdel test?
I would assume so. You have
I think...
you have enough women talking, but they're also constantly talking about Thrawn. So, so I just would have liked there to be a little more repercussion for Sabine getting stabbed, or just don't have her like.
She's got a little circle scar now.
Yeah. So I mean, she's in the hospital for like half the next episode. It's just a reason to have her not be with Ahsoka for most of the episode.
If only she had Beskar armor.
That
could have prevented that.
So Baylan and Shin take the map to a planet and place it in a thing, and
Cetos.
There you go. And they find what is called the quote reflex point, which I guess would be the place that will then allow you to travel to this other galaxy.
Acid reflux point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We then
sorry.
We cut back to Ahsoka doing her Batman detective mode investigating of... Do you have something you want to say from before that?
It's very interesting because we've kind of seen this a little bit, and we see it a lot in Jedi Fallen Order. Some Jedi have... They're kind of like specific... They're almost like gifts that Jedi have. I don't know if call them quirks, but like specific powers. And one of them is like force memories. So in very high force places of high emotion and energy, they can sense emotions of the past. We see this in Fallen Order all the time. We see it. There is a comic with Leia where she visits Naboo, and they are in the hangar when you first see Maul. And when she hits that spot where we first see Maul revealed, she's like, "Oh, it's really cold here. Very dark presence was here."
That's interesting.
Even though 25 years.
Yeah, 30 years probably. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, probably like 30, 40 years prior. So anyways, very interesting.
Yeah, that is fascinating.
Fascinating.
That's interesting. So Ahsoka's doing her Batman detective mode back at the communications tower where Sabine has been living, and the Loth-cat is there, and you just go, "Who's gonna feed Sabine's Loth-cat?" And that's what she's concerned about.
Genuine concern.
Cats can survive, especially a Loth-cat.
Are you sure about that? I don't know. Have you looked at the presence in the room who chased my sitters out? And
then Ahsoka's the Loth-cat is nice to Ahsoka when she shows up, and you're just like, Athena would never be that nice.
She wouldn't.
Not to a stranger, at least. One of the assassin droids stayed behind for whatever reason, and Ahsoka kills it. And she then takes the robot's head back to the hospital where Sabine is. And there's this weird, tense moment where she's trying to hack into it. And it'll explode after a certain amount of time of putting too much energy into it. Mm-hmm. And they cut off the power. And I don't know. Do they even ultimately learn anything from that?
I think so. I was just thinking, I don't think that's resolved.
I think it was
the fact that Ahsoka and Sabine can't really stand to be in the same room as each other.
I think it was, mostly just a scene that further illustrated the tension between Sabine and Ahsoka, but it is it's not going to explode. So I don't know what the point of that tension was.
She used all her plot armor in that episode.
But something leads them to want to go to Corellia. Do you remember exactly what leads them to that piece of information?
Because that is where, actually, did they find something? That is where...
the droids were manufactured?
Yes, but that's also where they took all the Empire's stuff. It's the New Republic shipyards. That's where they're breaking down everything. So any possible repurposed assassin droids would be coming from there.
So Corellia is a famous planet because that's where Han Solo is from, and that's where the Millennium Falcon is a Corellian freighter. You were reacting to something. Is it relevant?
Oh my gosh, I missed a quote. So when they were on Cetos, they were in this kind of Stonehenge looking. Have we gotten to that part yet? No, they just go
there's
to
two
Cetos.
scenes there.
Yep, I'm thinking about the second one.
Okay.
My bad.
So Ahsoka and Hera go to Corellia, and they meet with the local manager, and he says that a lot of the employees there are ex-Imperials, which is an interesting concept of pretty much the moment the Empire shut down, they didn't just arrest everyone. A lot of people... at least according to this manager, we're just normal people.
We see that after a lot of wars.
Yeah.
They just kind of get assimilated into places.
So there's pretty much a lot of people, especially the farther you get away from the politics, a lot of people keep going on with their normal job.
Just and boss.
But it does open the door for there to be Imperial loyalists acting like they are assimilating, but actually they are. This is kind of the underlying threat to the New Republic, is who is with us and who is against us, and it's kind of it's difficult to know who's who.
And we see I was gonna say, I mean, we see that's where they're leading the New Republic to have gone wrong. We saw that in Mando season 3. Again, one of my favorite episodes is the one with Dr. Pershing. That is
Absolutely.
my favorite episode.
I totally agree.
2. I think my mom texted me, "Is this important?" I'm like, yes. We see, and honestly, I think Dr. Pershing's character is so up in the air that he was so in between that it's almost like it really feels like this guy might have actually just gotten caught up on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Which almost kind of makes his end a little more tragic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really bad anyways, but tragic. But so we see that with the New Republic dismantling the entire army and not putting something in its place.
Which is somewhat
aside
contradicted.
From the Rangers.
It's somewhat contradicted in this episode.
Yes.
They say that they are scavenging all the former Imperial ships to make a new fleet for the Empire, but in Mandalorian, they said they were totally decommissioning the fleet.
And doesn't Hera say, "Are we building a new one?" Doesn't she make a comment about that?
Oh,
we're more about the hyperdrive. That's what it was.
There's a giant hyperdrive, and she says we're not building anything big enough for that. So
But-
there's a bit of a contradiction here. I think what this show is saying is that the New Republic is building up its defenses, but not building up. Just like they are establishing a fleet, but nothing major.
Because they're trying not to just appear like a new empire with a bunch of big Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
And I actually did kind of I thought this interaction between Hera and the shipyard captain was a little bit more like Rebels Hera. When they're asking questions, he's like, "I can't tell you that." And she's like, "I can make this a little bit of a more formal inspection."
Yeah.
That felt a little closer to like normal Hera.
That is probably the most interesting elements that Hera gets in this sequence where she starts pulling rank on this guy who's trying to like stonewall her.
Yeah.
And trying to like wrap her up in bureaucracy, and she's like, I'm a general. I'm gonna get what I want. I think that's a cool element of her character now. She's just like, I'm going to blow through.
She wants.
And so while they're getting this tour of the Corellian factory, we cut back to it's very long. It cuts back to Sabine and Hu Yang, and they have a talk. And I actually quite like the scene. Pretty much just Hu Yang trying to convince Sabine that you have to let go of the past and move on to the future, and training could be good for her. And I think what I like about it is I am really interested in something mainland Star Wars has just kind of touched on, is people who are Jedi parallel, like they are Jedi, I'm trying to think of the correct term here. Like they are right next to Jedi, but they're not Jedi themselves.
Force users?
Not necessarily Force users. People who are associated with the Jedi. The most famous one being, is it Chirrut? From the blind man. It was Chirrut, the other Guardian of the Will in
No, I was
Rogue
thinking
One.
Guardian of the Wills. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. The Guardian of the Wills
Chirrut and Baze.
Yes. The Guardians of the Wills are not Jedi themselves, but they are guardians of Jedi knowledge, of Jedi
like
temples.
More monk than like the Jedi were.
The Jedi are more like monk warriors, whereas Guardians of the Wills are more like monk, like monastery monks.
If you play Civ, this is like your apostles versus your your monks.
There you go.
Because you can fight with the apostles.
And so I was always fascinated by that character, those two characters, those two Guardians of the Wills. And then now Hu Yang is
You want me to get the action figures out?
I think we're good. So Hu Yang is a 25,000-year-old Jedi robot.
Man.
Who is this thing is like
he's older
25
he's older than High
times.
Republic, he's older than Old Republic.
Yeah.
He was there at the start.
He's 25 times older than Yoda. He's been involved with the training of like most Jedi. But he himself is not a Jedi. Obviously, he's a robot, but he has all this Jedi knowledge and wisdom and respect for the Force. So I think that kind of character is interesting to me. Someone who's like isn't even a warrior, like kind of is almost the the tragedy we see in Star Wars of the Jedi is they want to be peacekeepers, they want to be peaceful, they want to study the Force, but they're constantly getting wrapped up in politics and war, and they never get to be what they want to be, where they should be. Whereas Hu Yang kind of is like untouched by whatever, like 25,000 years. He's seen the Jedi and the Sith come and go. He's seen, you know, the rise and fall of the Republic. And he's still pretty much the same guy, what I think is an interesting character. And he's bestowing this wisdom upon Sabine. And Sabine's the opposite. Sabine's a young character. She's a Mandalorian. She's ready to fight. She's very hot-headed. You kind of see, I think, the implication of her running from the Rangers in the first episode is no matter what, she's not going to like power. She's not going to want responsibility or authority, even if it's the good guys now. It's built in her to not be a part of the system, not to not be a part of, and I think that's the reason why you probably see her not going back to Mandalore. Because if she goes back to Mandalore, she has to be royalty. She has more responsibility and more power that she'd have to assume there. She just kind of she doesn't know what she wants to be. So she's almost the opposite of Hu Yang. And I think that conversation is engaging and interesting.
I would probably go, please get the Darksaber back. Please be ruler. Please be ruler.
So we go from that scene back to Ahsoka and Hera, and they get ambushed by Imperial Loyalist. Who could have seen that coming?
You missed a part.
Okay.
Important part where we do go back to see Toes because Morgan shows up.
You went back to see Toes. Why are we looking at Toes?
I did say that. Stop it. You're going to summon
Quentin Tarantino. We already invoked his name once. We say it again, he will appear.
He's not allowed in my apartment. Back to Cetos. And so Morgan shows up and takes the little planet ball and uses Dathomirian witch magic to activate it. And it showcases like a very large map, very akin to Treasure Planet.
And so I just want to clarify just real quick for people who aren't familiar with Dathomirian witches. It's still just the Force. Like
it's like a corrupted version of the Force.
Yeah, it's not like there's the Force and then there's magic. It's all just the Force.
Yes. And so, you know, they ask her who built this, and she says an ancient people. And you go, the Purgles built this.
So the reason I said that is because pretty much this map is like projecting all these like hieroglyphs and images very similar to what Rachel talked about earlier, the world between worlds, the time traveling space in Rebels. And when it's like projecting the hieroglyph of the other galaxy around it are the space whales who can travel through hyperspace, what are called the Purgles. So when they said an ancient people, I said the Purgles.
So my thought was the Zephonians, which are a very ancient sentient species that we are introduced to in Jedi Fallen Order. And so they were like ancient. They're native to the planet Zepho. Many of them could wield the Force, and I do have this on Wikipedia because I wanted to make sure I got the quote. I got the the direct terminology right. But they refer to it as like life wind. So they are like thousands of years. But there's a very interesting quote from a Zephonian sage recording. If they could master the Force, they were sages. And we find this in Jedi Fallen Order. I offer this record of our civilization to those who will follow. Despite our wisdom and technological achievement, we face extinction. Dogma blinded us to the path of balance, and gradually we allowed our pride to corrupt us. The greater control we sought, the further we fell into ruin. I lead the remnants of my people into the great unknown, hoping that we finally find peace. And they left for the unknown regions, which is a part of the galaxy that are unknown regions
beyond the edge of the map at World's End.
But so gosh, I love that movie. Anyways, very reminiscent of the Jedi. Dogma blinded them, led to corruption, and the more they tried to control, the more they fell apart. And so my thought was, did the Zepho build this? Is this how they yeet it? But if it's to an entirely different galaxy, that's like technically outside of the outer regions. Anyways, we might get live action Cal Kestis. Anyways, so I thought that was my thought, but we get this rumored mythological pathway to Peridia, which I've never heard of before, but Balin Scroll says it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's supposed to be this mythos thing. But so, they're like, we need to create preparations so we can finally go get Thrawn. Mm-hmm. And Balin sends the Masked Inquisitor, Merrick, to Corellia to get the final supplies. So this is where we kind of get our smash up of characters.
Mm-hmm. And also, is it in this sequence that one of them, I would assume Morgan, is like hearing Thrawn's voice?
Yeah, there's a weird point where she's hearing a voice and she's like, Thrawn calls to me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, and that's, if it's Thrawn, how is he doing it? How is he talking to someone from another galaxy? And if it's not Thrawn, that's even like, I think, more interesting. If someone, I think it'll be interesting if at the end of this show it turns out both sides get disappointed, Ezra and look, who knows what'll happen. It is possible that Thrawn is not alive, and that there's like someone masquerading as him in order to come. Like, and I'm saying it's possible.
Who painted themselves blue? So what I'm thinking is, okay. So what this could also be, because this is what I thought of. So Thrawn knew Anakin Skywalker before he fell. This is, if you read the books, this is information. So, interestingly enough, so Thrawn is they're called Chiss, Chiss. That is his species, humanoid species. And so this is kind of interesting because I was curious if this would be brought up. Skywalkers were Force-sensitive Chiss navigators who helped the Chiss Ascendancy navigate the dangerous hyperspace conditions present in the Ascendancy's native unknown regions of the galaxy. So basically, we have this. So we have very interesting possibilities. So we have the Purgle, who were they were the first things that could hyperspace jump. Mm-hmm. That is what the ships are based off of. That's the technology they were used. Skywalkers, it's Sky-Walkers, Force-sensitive navigators who helped navigate the dangerous hyperspace conditions. So we have this very interesting.
There's a long-running history connection between the Skywalkers and Thrawn's people.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, and so we're just kind of getting teases for what might happen, where things are going, where things are leading. My thought I just had for a second, though, is that there must not be much in the other galaxy if Thrawn is trying to come back. Unless he's trying to conquer both. But
it's him and Ezra.
Yeah, a lot of good memes about that.
So good.
So we cut back to Corellia, and Ahsoka and Hera get ambushed. Ahsoka ends up fighting Merrick, the third part of our villain's Force-sensitive group. He's clearly as we said earlier, a former Inquisitor. Pretty good fight there, but I think.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, so his name is Merrick. Well, as the theories of who Merrick is, he does have a similar name to Galen Merrick, who is Starkiller.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think this is going to be Starkiller, because if they did, they'd have to nerf him down to 1% of what he could do in the Force Unleashed video games. Mm-hmm. And do a lot of finagling to make him work, because he's your overpowered insert character that you get to play in the games.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we do end up getting, the actor who played him,
Sam Witwer.
Yeah, thank you. Voiced this character in a video game.
I think he voiced some of the droids this episode too. He's credited.
Oh, there you go.
Additional.
And so in that video game, he was Darth Vader's secret apprentice. He also then became the permanent voice of Darth Maul. Mm-hmm. So he's been very involved with Star Wars for many years. Yes. I am still surprised we've not seen him in live action in any way, because he is a live action actor.
Yes.
And Starkiller was directly visually based off of him.
And I mean, like I said, I think a great introduction to bring in Galen Merrick. I mean, they're going to have to nerf him. in some way or form. They're going to have to do it. I think he would be a perfect first brother Inquisitor.
Yeah. So that's the popular fan theory, is that he will eventually show up.
That's my popular theory. What are you talking about?
He's not going to show up as straight up Star Killer, just as
an Inquisitor.
I think if they are going to do that, this would be a weird way to do that.
Yeah.
Because he would be a major selling point to Star Wars fans.
Yes.
Just to have him in a show.
Yeah.
And to like conceal his identity.
That's why I feel like it's more of a homage.
Yeah.
Unless they actually put Sam Witwer underneath that thing, we're going to find out in the last episode of the season.
So then Hera gets in her ship. And so, what the ignition point for this whole sequence is there's a giant hyperdrive unit that's being shipped off planet. And it turns out that one of the same HK droids that attacked our heroes is leaving with the hyperdrive unit. So Hera and Ahsoka want to try to stop that. Hera hops in her ship, flies after it.
The entire commanding office of this shipyard are Imperial loyalists. The entire bit.
Yeah. And we get the return of everyone's favorite war criminal, Chopper the droid. And he is still perfect in every way.
He's so good.
He's one of the best characters from Rebels by a long shot. He's
our very favorite criminal.
He's full of personality. He's very similar to R2-D2, except for he has these little arms that detach from the side of his head.
Imagine if he had thumbs.
Yeah, and those arms give him a lot of expression. I think it's unfortunate that he doesn't leave the ship at all in this episode.
He's on like house arrest.
Yeah, like I think there's a scene towards the end where he could have it just felt like they just relegated him to being just ahead. But he has a great moment while they're flying.
He would have killed them if they let him out.
While they're flying on the ship trying to catch up to the hyperdrive unit, he has like this little like toolbox that he's digging through with his arms, trying to find a good tracker. And this bit kills me. I think it is so funny. And what's fun about Chopper is he actually has lines of dialogue. He sounds like a robot, but it's
Mr. Dave Filoni.
But Dave Filoni, the creator, actually records lines and then they greatly modulate it. But if you listen closely, you can often tell what he's supposed to be saying. And it gives his back and forth, and he's very sassy, he's very sarcastic. His back and forth with any character is always hilarious.
He had beef with Ezra.
Yeah. And so that's fun. This whole ship sequence is also a lot of fun just because of the presence of Chopper being classic Chopper.
Mm-hmm. And it's very funny because you hear him say something, and Hera goes, "I did not go through your stuff." And he goes, "Yes, you did."
So good.
And their conversation on why they just can't shoot down a hyperspace drive over a city.
Someone said online, literally the first thing he does in the show is suggest committing a war crime. They successfully get the tracker onto the ship. And so while the villains escape, Merrick escapes his fight with Ahsoka. And there's a nice little, just pretty BA moment where Merrick throws his
helicopter lightsaber.
Yeah, so he ignites it and starts spinning, and we both thought for a second he was going to fly with it like they do in Rebels, but he just throws it at Ahsoka. She dodges it. He runs, jumps onto his ship with Shin, and then he turns around, and you see Ahsoka just standing on the edge, and he summoned his lightsaber back to her, and she just barely puts her shoulder back, and the blade just flies by her, and she doesn't even look at it. She's just looking at him the whole time.
There is a very similar scene in Clone Wars Season 7, which is the season you've watched. It is, I think, the first episode where Obi-Wan, whatever his group of clones are, and the 501st are all pinned down, and Anakin shows up, being Anakin as well. It's almost exactly because a blaster fires past Anakin from behind. Same thing.
Nice.
It's
very
just
nice.
The parallels in these episodes are a lot, and I do love that.
Yeah, I've got another parallel here in a second. While they don't succeed in stopping these villains, they do get a tracker on them, which then shows us that they take the hyperspeed. They're building a giant. So if you remember Star Wars Episode 2 or Episode 3, the Jedi starfighters have these separate hyperdrive like engines that attach to their ship. They're pretty much building a gigantic one of those.
Or I'll put a Purgle in it.
Like a massive one. And it looks like a big halo.
I know. Let's play the game of what it looks like. Okay. Halo ring. It looks like a Transformer space bridge in certain continuities. So what are other circular things in very famous media?
The One Ring.
Oh.
Anyways. So then we cut back to what is now getting us closer to the final shot from Rebels.
Yes.
Sabine redons her Mandalorian armor and cuts her hair, which I did not realize until I saw it online, is a direct parallel. You're very excited. I'll let you explain
I almost said it last night, but I said, I have to save this for the podcast. All right. So Sabine has long hair, and throughout all of Rebels, we've seen her with short hair. That's her thing. You know, it's very common for Mandalorians to just have all the tiny, short hair. They wear helmets.
Very military cut.
Yes. Her cutting her hair to the way she is positioned, to the table in front of her, to the placement of the knife and her helmet, and to the way that it is shot, that she cuts her hair. Aside from one shot, is shot for shot how we see how Kanan cuts his hair in Jedi Knight.
Which is the name of the episode.
Which is the name of the episode where he unfortunately does not make it.
Unalived.
Yes.
So that was a big moment for that character, a big moment for the Star Wars Rebels show, where you have a major character, kind of, he's been somewhat lost since he lost his vision. He's been lost the whole show because he was a Jedi Padawan. When Order 66 happened, he's one of the few Jedi who survived, one of the probably 2,000 Jedi who survived.
Hey, out of like 10,000 bumping down to 100 and 150, 200, that is an extinction level event.
Yes. We've talked about this. We're not going to go into it. He kind of, through losing his vision, taking on Ezra as his very difficult apprentice, he goes through a lot through the 4 seasons of that show, and he finally kind of comes to this moment of peace where he becomes a full-on Jedi. He cuts his hair, he shaves his face.
And he goes to save his girlfriend.
He finally stops wearing the helmet that he's been wearing since he became blind. And so there's a similar, like, a character embracing who they are and embracing their armor as a warrior, but cutting their hair. It's a very much almost feels somewhat Japanese samurai inspired just by the
Mulan.
Visuals of it. Or Mulan. Yeah, it's very Mulan.
It was very Mulan.
And it's very much feels like a ritual of someone moving on.
Cutting your hair in any set. So, oh my gosh. Okay. Like, cutting your hair is seen as such a big change just visually. People graduate, they cut their hair. People get married, they cut their hair. In cultures, when someone dies, people will cut their hair. It's such a sign of change. And yeah, it's a sign of change. So anyways, I loved it because I showed it and I was like, I know that shot.
Heavy breathing.
Heavy breathing.
Do you have any other notes from this episode?
My last comment outside of some side-by-side TikToks that I did want to show was, who's gonna feed her cat?
Which we already talked about.
Which we did talk about, but my thought was, who's gonna feed the
leave
cat?
Hu Yang behind and let him do it.
Oh.
Or just Governor
Azadi's gonna have to do it.
Yeah.
So we see the side-by-side, and there is someone did the side-by-side of the last scene of Rebels, and I don't know if there's like cheesy music over this. I can't remember. But
Let's
like
see it.
the animated, and then at the end of Ahsoka. Yeah, there's cheesy music. But, like, it is the mural that she's painted, it is very, very exact. We just have a different outfit for Ahsoka.
Yeah, so this is very visual. Just to summarize it for the podcast listeners, we're just watching a video of, at the end of episode 2, they have recreated the final moment from Star Wars Rebels. And it's just pretty much Sabine and Ahsoka reuniting. And before, this scene was just the kind of a conclusion of the show, but now it takes on new meaning with what these characters have been through, what has even happened in the last few days. And we now know kind of where things are going. Now, this is a parallel between the two scenes of the two characters cutting their hair, Sabine and Kanan.
Dude, I was losing it yesterday when we were watching this. But I was like,
Yeah, I didn't catch it at all.
It was my immediate thought.
Her armor does look pretty good in real life, though.
good.
We'll see what happens when she puts on the helmet, though. Helmets are really hard to recreate in live action, I think, in an engaging way.
I loved it. I was like, that's our boy. I was like, that's him. So that was, I was very excited.
So
about
final overall thoughts. You can tell we got a lot more excited as episode 2 came to a wrap. So it gives, I think, a lot of hope for the rest of this of the 6 episodes we have upcoming.
All right, I want to hear your craziest theories. I want to hear your craziest predictions for this show, Cameron. What you got?
Oh, I didn't come prepared for this.
Okay.
I kind of gave mine. Is probably my craziest theory is that potentially Thrawn and Ezra aren't alive.
Don't say that.
I think obviously we have had images of Thrawn. We know that they're making the Heir to the Empire as a movie. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you can do the Heir to the Empire as a movie, which is the famous book series. I don't know if you can do that without Thrawn, but
well, supposedly that's what Dave Filoni's 6.5 movie is going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the rumored name for it.
Yeah. So I'm just taking, if you just take these 2 episodes on their own, no other information, it does seem to be setting up that there's some other malevolent force in that other galaxy.
The Force?
Yeah. My other thought is not necessarily a crazy theory. It's just that I'm really concerned this whole season is just going to be set up for that movie. Like, Thrawn's going to show up at the last second. Mm-hmm. I hope that this season is some sort of narrative in and of itself, not just we're just killing time until Thrawn shows up. Yeah.
Fetch quests.
So let's we'll wait and see. If you want me to throw out another crazy theory, Hu Yang is going to turn out to be General Grievous all along.
Shut up. Well, anyways, as someone who thought of predictions, and they're crazy, so that means they're probably not going to happen. Force Ghost Kanan. Can you imagine if we get Force Ghost Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Yeah.
After all, he's like, I'm not coming back to Star Wars, because he's pretty crazy in his interviews. That seems very on brand for Freddie Prinze Jr. to be like, I'm never coming back. Star Wars is for kids. But also,
no one's getting sex in Star Wars. It says one of the very few characters to have a biological son.
Yeah, which we haven't seen yet. 1,997 days since our last Jason Sindola incident.
Jump scare.
Which, here's the thing. They released a Lego ghost set for Ahsoka, and there's a little guy there. He doesn't have his green hair. My favorite fan theory, the only way I can stomach looking at him, is that Sabine dyed his hair green. That's the only theory. So that would be kind of sick. Are we going to get it? No, we're not going to get it. Hopes for Callus.
He's got to be somewhere.
1,997 days.
Unless some rebels that he fought as an Imperial officer got a hold of him at the end of the war. Like, you thought we forgot about the stuff you did as an Imperial, huh? And they
don't you dare say that. Shut up.
They airlocked him.
No, I already tried that. It didn't work. So here, okay, the theory. Everyone's guessing who Merrick is, and people are People are like, oh, it's Ezra. I have such beef if you think that Merrick is Ezra. First of all, how dare you try to manifest that? Second of all, leave my boy alone.
Don't slander our man.
And third, this guy went up against Palpatine's temptations and didn't cave. But supposedly he would have gone with Thrawn.
I think most likely what would happen if he does end up being that Inquisitor guy, Merrick.
I would cry.
He's probably lost his memory.
No!
Would be the most likely situation. Which is 100%. I mean, it's been done a lot, but the most recent one I could think of is it would happen to Dominic Toretto's wife in the Fast and Furious movies. That she was thought
actually cry if that happens. If they do that reveal,
I think it's incredibly unlikely.
I hope it is. So, anyways, one of my
look, 99% of internet theories turn out to be false. Like, in not only false, but like,
let me be mad about
most of the areas people online theorize about don't turn out to be anything at all. I think what was it? WandaVision was the best example of that. People were theorizing about every single element of that show, and the show ended up being pretty straightforward. Like, you could pretty much tell the one woman was Agatha the Witch.
Wow.
Other than that, there wasn't really any other major twist going on. There was no one else behind the scenes or anything. So most likely the show's going to be very straightforward, not any major twists or anything. We know Thrawn's coming, almost certainly. I doubt Merrick is anyone of note. But I could be wrong.
It's not the eighth brother. I mean, because that man Merrick wears shoes. When we see the eighth brother, he's got like grippers. He's got like little frog feet. But some other theories I've seen is Barriss Offee.
Okay.
Who was I can't remember her master's name. She had the black headpiece. We saw her a lot in Phantom Menace and Clone Wars.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know a lot of the other Jedis. She's the one
who framed Ahsoka.
Yeah.
So
she was a Jedi Padawan turned separatist.
Yes. So we see Ezra, Barriss, Starkiller, eighth brother, and then the most interesting one I've seen was Cal Kestis, which is kind of interesting, and I do not subscribe to that theory, but one of my favorite comments that I saw about it was, dude, I don't know what it is, but there's something about the Inquisitor stance and the skinny little legs that scream Cal Kestis.
What it's going to be is... that
would be worse.
He wears a helmet all the time because inexplicably one day Cal Kestis just couldn't control it. No matter what he shaved it, no matter what, his mullet and mustache wouldn't stop growing back. It's like in very Santa Claus style.
I did not give Cal Kestis the full beard when I played through.
Can you imagine if like the next Jedi game that's on the cover is he has the
longer
mullet,
beard,
the mullet and a mustache?
Oh man, they'd probably have to have Cameron, can you grow out a mullet? Can I wear a poncho? Yeah, okay, I'll do it.
Okay. When she says Cameron, she's not talking about me. She's talking about the actor who plays Cal Kestis. Cameron monochromatic.
I think it's
Candygram.
See, now that you've asked me, I think it's Monaghan. See, now that you've asked me, I can't remember.
Monaghan.
I was gonna say I was pretty sure it's Monaghan.
Anyways, any final other things before we wrap? We move on to the rock of this podcast.
Seems hopeful. I'm hoping for maybe some better line takes in some future episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I am hoping that there is narrative other than them trying to stop them from building a ring for 8 episodes.
Yeah.
I would not. They're probably gonna do it. They're probably gonna have Ezra show up at the end like some Marvel cameo in a post-credit scene. And I'll be very sad about that. But I hope. I hope he shows up in this season so we can get a new Black Series figure of him. That's
one that
the
looks
goal.
like an actual person.
Oh yeah, his Black Series figure is rough.
And you can return to us the next couple weeks, all the way through October. We will be talking about Ahsoka.
Let's go.
If I'm sure, this might be our first week in a while that we didn't have a Transformers Rise of the Beast poster. I think they've released a poster almost every week.
They knew Ahsoka was coming out. They're like, guys, you gotta stop.
So if new Transformers stuff happens or we learn anything interesting about Transformers,
I have more episodes for us to watch.
We might do that at some point. But as of right now, we're doing Ahsoka.
I've got a couple that we should.
And we are now on to everyone's favorite segment, Meme Minute. But it's longer than a minute. But is it longer than a meme parsec or a meme astrosecond? Rachel, what is your first meme of this week?
I have a bajillion TikToks because with the resurgence of Star Wars, we have seen some good things. And so but this is also Transformers. So there are various continuities of this. I don't see the text we just got. I don't know if you saw that conversation of our text conversation yesterday with Megan Cameron, but it was very good.
Oh yeah. not interesting enough to talk about. But thank you, Megan, for sending us that nonetheless.
Thank you, Megan, for sending me that. Anyways, so someone made a Spider-Verse-esque.
So this has nothing to do with Ahsoka.
Which Transformers?
Oh no, I was saying you were just building up that there's a bunch of Ahsoka stuff on TikTok. I thought.
Yeah, but I was gonna say that's why I have a lot of TikToks instead of like 2.
Yeah, I think it's funny that your first one is not about Ahsoka, even though you just built it up.
This is so visual. I just want you to watch it.
Okay.
I'm Gwen Stacy.
This is all the various sound waves from Star Wars.
Oh, it's all the different sound waves.
Yeah.
This could literally not get any weirder. It can get weirder.
Oh, it's a.
Who are you?
That's a good joke. So at the very end, what is the voice of Spider-Ham is a Angry Birds pig as Soundwave
from their crossover
It
event.
can get weirder. Good joke. I like it.
Yeah.
Funny stuff. Well, how about you go ahead and how many visual image memes do you have? Because I only got 6 total memes. The fact that she's taking this long on account.
I also have 6.
Okay, so go ahead and do your videos.
Okay, well, I also have 6 videos, so.
Yeah, go ahead and I don't have any videos this week, so go ahead and just do all your videos.
10 cameos you missed in the first episodes of Ahsoka. First up, we have Blue C-3PO from Star Wars. We also have Orange R2-D2 from Star Wars. Next up, we have Ramona Flowers.
It is not even
Ramona Flowers from Scott Pilgrim. Next, we
over
have
a random
Lego
guy.
Star Wars
Oh,
Money
that's good.
And Red C-3PO from Star Wars. We also have... Holy shit, is that Mr. Krabs?
Good stuff. That was great. That was very funny.
Top tier content. I don't remember what this one is.
Who are you?
The same one?
No! That can't be right. Because it's a different link. Did it get deleted? Nerds. Who got their TikTok taken down? Okay. So this says me if this starts playing in Ahsoka.
It's the Mandalorian theme. You had this moment.
I did have this moment. So I didn't bring it up yet, but so after Ahsoka comes out of the temple with sphere, a new hand touches the beacon. When she comes out with the sphere, she turns around and there is a bucket helmeted droid, but all you see is like the helmet first, and I genuinely thought they put the Mandalorian, and I was going to be so upset because we're 5 minutes in? I would have been furious. So I'm getting heated about this. I would have been so upset. I really had this. I had that exact moment, and then I realized it was just an HK droid. I was like, oh my gosh, I thought that was the Mandalorian. I would have raged so hard. We would have had to stop, and I would have had to go outside, and I would have had to take a breather. I would have been so upset. Anyway.
What else you got? That was a good one. I like that one's really funny. Anakin and Obi-Wan watching from the afterlife as Ahsoka's Padawan immediately disobeys a direct order. And it's 2 guys from Top Gun just laughing. Oh yeah, Top Gear, not Top Gun. Thank you. Yeah, it's not Tom Cruise and
Top Cruise and Miles Gunn.
Thank you, Miles Teller. What else you got?
This is the last one.
This is where the fun begins.
No, it's just like reactions to the Merrick theories.
Cool.
Why did all these double up? I'm so sad about that. I'm sorry about this. I guess we can get the image memes.
Okay. So I'm thankful that we actually had 24 hours between watching and doing today's podcast. So I was able to get some Ahsoka memes, some fresh memes, fresh off the hot. Ooh, so hot.
Anyways, what do you got?
Sorry. Dave Filoni, expecting everyone to remember every character he's ever written so they can cameo later. Me, I'm going to keep it real with you, Chief. I totally forgot.
That's why you watch with me, Cameron.
And it's Kermit the Frog and Pepe the prawn, which I'm just now realizing is
weirdly
our original Thrawn the prawn.
Weirdly relatable.
I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief. I totally forgot. That's me with all these secondary characters.
And I'm over here like, J. Kel, oh my gosh.
What else you got? She's already cackling. my God. I don't even know how to explain. This is so dumb. I don't even know how to explain it.
It's Wojak, right? Is that what it is?
Maybe. I don't know.
Internet Wojak. It is an infamous like meme comic where this guy is like facing the camera with a shocked face. It's like poorly drawn, and he's pointing behind him to another guy who's also shocked. And it just says he has the cube, and they photoshopped like a brown hoodie. They drew a brown hoodie and a pair of jeans. It gave him the cube, and it's supposed to be Sam Witwicky, and the guy pointing is just like badly photoshopped Megatron, and you have a blurred tank, jet, and police car. It's
pretty dank.
I love it.
There's a lot of dankness going on there.
Anyways, what you got?
Oh, right.
Oh yeah, it's your turn, Cameron.
There's a famous comic that it's a famous meme format of this attractive woman trapped on an island, and she's used the rocks to spell out help, and a plane flies over and ignores her, so she rearranges it to spell something else, and here it says Megatron is dead, and Starscream just comes flying in at her.
Nice. Nice.
Good use of that format, I thought.
Vintage meme from A New Hope.
Oh. So you got Vader talking. You want to read it or you want me to read it?
You want to read it?
Yeah. Okay. You can, so it's Vader talking to one of the...
Post Leia capture at the very beginning.
Talking to an Imperial officer. You fools! Did anyone see the droids who got away from with the Death Star plans? The officer says, "My lord, it seems to have been a blue R2 unit and an effete protocol, like an effeminate,
I guess, I don't know.
Protocol droid." And Vader says, "Oh, word, those are my boys." I've seen that. That's a good one.
You forgot LMFAO.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm good. So this is just a screenshot from, I think, Clone Wars Season 7. Then it cuts in a little closer to reveal a detail. You have all the Jedi standing around like a holographic map, planning out something, and it just cuts in on Yoda, and he's not nearly tall enough to see anything. It just says, "See, I cannot."
And he's like set away from the table too, so he can see.
I just love the joke that Yoda, he's just standing there, but he's not nearly tall enough to do anything. It's just great observation. What else you got?
Is it Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Yeah.
Okay.
So popular format of
I've only had blank for a day and a half, but if anything happened to blank, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself. And it's Boba Fett holding the 2 Gamorrean guards.
So that's a Book of Boba Fett joke. Year and a half too late, but still good joke. Everyone fell in love with the 2 Gamorrean guards.
We were devastated when they died.
2 pig boys, yeah. The actual, probably one of the few truly effective moments in that show.
We're like,
a show that I like, but yeah. There was actual consequences in that moment. So we've got...
When will you learn?
We've got Qui-Gon cutting his way through the door at the beginning of Phantom Menace, except for he's cut the hole to the shape of Mickey Mouse ears and says, "I'm Qui-Gon Jinn and you're watching Disney Channel."
It's pretty good.
What else you got?
Very popular format of like a show or a book or movie with like the 2 little timelines. And it's the Rebels, and it says the shortest little box. Fun little TV show for beginner fans, and then the 90% of it is, this is literally some of the most emotional and well-crafted Star Wars media I've seen in years, yet people who haven't even given it the time are passing up this gem just because they don't like the art style.
Very good. Yeah, that's good observation. Very funny, but also very true. There's a piece of fan art, and under it, it's got Mace Windu saying, "It is critical we blind ourselves immediately." What do you see here, Rachel? The look on her face. Oh my gosh. What is it? Someone has drawn 2 characters' potential children.
Get out of my apartment.
I almost spit out my water.
Get out of my apartment.
She refuses to describe it. I will.
Own words.
It is Two, I didn't read their names. Ashla Skywalker and Soka Skywalker. There's a bit of fan art.
I think the word is Sokka.
Yes. Well, I assumed it was Ahsoka.
I guess.
Just Sokka. It's if Anakin and Ahsoka had children, it is their two species combined in two different ways for these two different characters, and it is actually fairly well executed. Like the drawing is pretty good, but it's very cringy. And
Tumblr is a plague.
I thought you'd get a kick out of that. What else you got? Last one or second to last one?
The second to last one. I got two of these.
It's a Photoshop of the same meme from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but this time it is, I'm totally forgetting a Mirage holding Noah, and it says, "I've only had Noah for a day and a half, but I would kill everyone if anything happens to him." Good stuff. That's funny. I like that a lot. Especially that it works proportionally too. Like he can hold Noah as a cat.
This is my boy.
This is my last one, and it just has an image from I assume Clone Wars. It's Chewbacca and Bossk about to fight. Chewbacca.
Yeah, that was
everyone
an episode
knows Chewbacca,
arc.
And Bossk is a big lizard man. And it just says the new Godzilla vs. Kong trailer looks lit AF.
Oh my gosh.
Love it. All right, what else you got? You have Obi-Wan leaving Mustafar and Palpatine coming for barbecue Anakin in the popular meme format of the two people in the cars in Umbrella Academy. I think the best detail here is you have R2 photoshopped into driving the car with Obi-Wan.
That's C-3PO,
Oh,
you
sorry.
psychopath.
Oh, come on. Give me a break. C-3PO driving the car in a clone is driving Palpatine's car. That's a fun
Commander
detail.
Fox.
Why do you know that? That's not said in the movie. Why do you know that?
He's in the show!
But how do you know that's him?
Because he is Palpatine's little pocket friend.
I see.
The one that helped, I believe, helped keep Ahsoka in jail, and also was the one that shot Fives, who got a little too close to the truth.
That was worth peaking my audio for. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, fine. Is that it on memes?
This is not related to Star Wars, but I thought this was funny.
Send me your
Podcast,
memes.
no thanks. I already have enough annoying voices in my own head. I was like,
That's great. Little too close to home on that one. We have to kill him. He's getting too close to the truth.
oh no, a little too close to the truth juice.
Okay, so we're on even ground this week with the number of memes. That's good. 6 memes each.
Instead of like 3 and 17 like some weeks. I mean, that's been both of us though.
It has been a very legitimate strategy. We are both at 4 and 2 going into this week's meme game. As a reminder, we each make one of these. So one of these 6 memes for each of us made. Meme game.
It's not as fun when you do it.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
She's getting too warm in here.
It's 80 degrees here. So turn off my air conditioning for your auditory listening convenience.
You do not want that sound in the background. Okay. I'm trying to find. Okay, here we go. 4 and 2. As a reminder, I'll probably bring up every week. Caleb is 0 and 2 and has no chance of redeeming himself till he comes back.
Caleb,
in the
if
pod.
you come back, you don't get to guess which ones are which until we do.
Okay. Which one did Rachel make? Oh. No thanks. I've already got enough annoying voices in my head. It's really good.
Imagine if that was the one I made.
Oh, I just sent you a meme. I'll quickly describe it because it's pretty funny. It's just an image of dolphins and like lots of pretty colors, and it just says how it feels to bully Star Wars fans online.
Wait, while we're deciding, did you see my text earlier from what you sent me about Rebel Moon?
Yes.
So we've talked about Rebel Moon, which is Zack Snyder's Star Wars, but when he pitched he wanted to do Star Wars, but without any of the Star Wars people.
Edgy and hardcore and cool.
And so Ed Skrein, who plays Admiral Noble, which is just as goofy as Duncan Idaho from Dune, said the upcoming sci-fi epic is as modern, quote, as a modern quote, Star Wars with sex, violence, and swearing. And my response was, this is a really funny quote considering Andor just did all of those things.
Man, these are all really funny. It's hard to nail down which one might be, because they all, only one of them is like really simply put together. Like all of them have like pretty unique visual touches, and it's hard to know which one you might have done.
Shit, I cannot. Literally, look how far away this man is standing. They're all right up at the front. Dude is 3 feet back. So
he's like got his head. He's practically doing the Paz Vizsla look up. Oh, dang it. I hate being wrong. I hate being wrong so bad.
One of the funny things is that, I'm going to describe our surroundings real quick, because we're in my apartment and we have this phenomenal wall of boba on my table. It's 4 Black Series Boba Fett figures. We got Return of the Jedi, Mandalorian Tython, no armor, Mandalorian Tython, yes armor, and then we have Mr. Big. I almost said Major Domo.
Mr. Big. That's his name, Mr. Big.
I almost said Major Domo, but I don't think that's what he's called. The Domo? I don't know what it... Big Boba. I don't know what his name... I can't remember what his title is in Tatooine, but the one from Book of Boba Fett. He's looking... so good.
Man, I'm down to 2. Is it... Is it... I've only had Noah for a day and a half.
It is.
Yes! Yes! Oh, yeah! Yeah, you're right, too. Man,
I realized because I was like, Boba Fett meme. And then I thought of the Noah one. I did not realize it until tonight. That I was like, 2.
That's a good way to throw me off, because then it's kind of hard to tell which one is you and which one's not.
That's very Mirage. I've only had Noah for a day.
That's good. That's really funny. I really like your meme. Mine is the Dave Filoni expects us to remember all the characters so we can cameo later.
I got real with you, Chief. I totally forgot. Like I said, that's why you watch with me, so I can remember every glup shitto.
All right, we both improved to 5 and 2. That's a pretty good ratio thus far. I lost where I have it written down. Here we go. 5 and 2 for each of us. Good game.
I did wonder if this one was going to trick you.
That, if it wasn't for how it looks, like the way the text was formatted, I didn't think you'd do that. The actual
4chan formatting?
Yeah. The actual meme I could see you making, it felt very much like your sense of humor, but the way the text was written, I was like, I don't know why she would format it that way.
I should have scribbled it out.
Okay. So that brings us to the end of this week's episode. Thank you so much for listening. As always, thank you to Caleb Jacoby for our intro and outro music. Props to Rachel for our artwork. And I realized listening this week, we mentioned it once and have not mentioned it since, that Twitter is now X. We keep calling it Twitter still. Some people online are calling it Zitter, like XWITTR or XITTR.
Zits.
Nonetheless, whatever you call it, Twitter or X, we are on the accursed online, the accursed place that we shall not name, at Rebels Robots Pod.
Props to Cameron for our Facebook.
I have fun over on the Facebook sometimes.
He does have fun over on the Facebook. He definitely tweets more, or he definitely posts more than I tweet.
Thanks. That also reminds me, this week, the last 2 days on the Facebook accounts, the Star Wars Facebook accounts I follow, I don't know if it's in an effort to avoid spoilers or just because there's not a lot to talk about with Ahsoka, but everyone has been not talking about Ahsoka, but mostly just bullying Zack Snyder after the trailer for Rebel Moon came out, and I am here for it. I love it so much. Do not be fooled by that trailer, my friends. His movies.
It's okay. You can say me, because I texted you and said this looks kind of interesting.
Look, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. His movies almost always make for phenomenal trailers. Every time.
Is that because they put all the good bits in
his movies are very visually interesting. It's when it comes to trying to tell a story that he's very bad at. I will remain cautiously optimistic. I'm also incredibly skeptical because it's a part 1, part 2 movie, and they're releasing them 5 months apart, which to me makes it feel much more like a show. Like, If the movie's good, it's good. I don't care. But the fact that Netflix greenlit making 2 movies at the same time and we're going to release them that close together makes me feel like it had much more of a similar production to a TV show.
Yeah.
Netflix already produces a lot of their movies like their TV movies. Even the best directors who have worked with Netflix, there's a Netflix stink is how I describe it. Every movie made for Netflix. Like there are movies that Netflix buys. That's different.
Smelly.
So what I'm saying is until we actually see this movie, look, it doesn't really matter. You can get hyped if you want. I don't want to take your joy away from you. But if you're not a Snyder
if it's bad,
bro,
you'll hear about it from us.
Yes. I'm just saying is temper your expectations because it might be pretty good. I don't want you to go in thinking this is going to be the Star Wars killer. It's not. Anyways, that's my opinion. I'm, for some reason, very passionate about this.
Thanks to our editor, Athena.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for getting me back on track. Thank you for editing, Athena, as always.
Look at her. Oh, killing it.
And give us something to read on the pod. Leave a review. Tell us what you think of these new episodes of Ahsoka. Let us know if you've watched any Transformers films, what you think about it.
If you need to talk it out, we're here.
Tweet or DM us your memes or opinions. This is Cameron and Rachel signing off saying thank you for letting us be 2 additional annoying voices in your head. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
And this is Cameron and Rachel signing off saying...
Oh, ha! You didn't have a monologue prepared. We're finally past it. We're finally past the Optimus Prime monologue.
Before I do it, I got to make sure I'm doing it correct. Is it Jason Sindula? Yes. What's his name? Okay. Is it Jace or Jason?
Jason. He took his mom's last name.
Okay, yeah. Show us Jason Sindula, you cowards. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
What do you think? Is that a good ending? Is that funny? Or could we do better? I didn't have a natural one. I haven't had to write one for like 5 weeks. I could make a Huyang joke. I could make a cat lady joke. Sabine's a cat lady.
Hold on, give me.
We got signing off saying, but seriously, who's gonna feed Sabine's cat? That could be one.
Me. That's what Callus is doing this episode, this whole show.
Callus is gonna show up and be like, I fed Sabine's cat.
That is very specifically targeted to me. Thank you, Mr. Filoni. That's my scene.
We could do Don't Look Up Sabine, Ahsoka, and Anakin's children fan art.
Nope. No, we're not. Nope. No, we're not doing that.
We could...
Wait, hold on. I got such a good joke. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's so funny. I just have to do the math.
I'm so glad we're not using this.
I have to do the math right. What's today's date?
August 24th, 2023.
Okay.
I have never heard Rachel get this worked up on the pod.
Please, I don't ask for... I can't do this. This makes me so mad. It's going to be worth it, I promise.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think it's going to be really
we'll see.
Funny. It has been 127 days since our last Mando incident, and I hope it stays that way.
It's okay. It's okay.
Funny. How many days since our last Crosshair incident?
I don't know.
We should just start keeping an incident.
What else did we talk about? Have we talked about
1,997 days since our last Callus sighting? He's around at this time. We know it because the epilogue takes place at this time.
We could reference back it's a Rubik's Cube. Just line up the lines. Something like that.
Very good.
I think
does it have to be a? I thought. Oh, I wanted to make this joke early in the. I wanted to. Okay, I hope there's not an ad for this. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't play it with sound because there's an ad for Mediacom. I tire of their ads. It may not sound as good because I have to script it. So
shoot your shot.
So as we said, there are more. We have four Boba Fett's, and I had to search for the Return of the Jedi one because for was it the 50th anniversary or whatever, they did the old vintage packaging, and I hate the old vintage packaging because it's very bulky. So I had to search for this one, and you want to know where I got it?
Sure. I can't really understand it that well.
It's Optimus Prime saying eBay.
I know, but it's if it was more clear, that could be kind of funny.
Athena, we need help.
We could do Hotbot Summer Might Be Over,
no!
But
we can't say it 4 times.
Ahsoka Fall or something. We could come up with something for the fall. Like Ahsoka Autumn or I don't know.
Oh, is there a basic white girl joke we can make? Today's Pumpkin Spice Day. Today's the day that pumpkin spice comes back to Starbucks.
Tano, Autumn. So, I don't think we never said her last name, so I don't think people would know Ahsoka's last name is Tano.
I mean, all the marketing is Ahsoka Tano.
If I said Tano, we could say Ahsoka Tano Autumn. Nah, that doesn't really have a flow to it.
Man, we are scraping the bottom of the barrel and digging through tonight, aren't we?
We haven't had to do it for months. That's why I normally try to just do it, because the moment you try to think about comedy, nothing seems funny. We talked about Sabine cutting her hair. Talked about Loth-cats a lot.
Do we need to just have a final word from our local Loth-cat, Athena? A word from our local sponsor editor.
We could reference back the relatable cat content.
Is there something I hadn't said? There's probably something I hadn't said. Podcast, no thanks. I already have enough annoying voices in my head.
And this is Cameron Rachel signing off, saying thank you for letting us be some more annoying voices in your head. Was it annoying? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be funny.
I'd be good with that.
Okay. Wow. After 10 minutes.